The cafeteria tray crashed against the wall, mashed potatoes exploding like a grenade. Madison Hayes didn't flinch. Not when 300 students turned to stare. Not when Colton Mitchell's 6'2" frame towered over her 5'4". Not even when his crew of football players formed a semicircle, trapping her against the lunch line. "Pick it up," Colton growled, pointing at the mess of food splattered across the floor. His breath smelled like energy drinks and arrogance. Madison adjusted hair glasses, the fluorescent lights catching the small scar above her left eyebrow. No. That single word echoed through Jefferson High's cafeteria like a gunshot. Forks stopped moving. Conversation died. Even the lunch ladies paused mid-scoop. "What did you just say?" Colton's face turned the color of the ketchup dripping down the wall. "I said no." Madison's voice stayed steady, almost bored. "You threw it. You clean it." Behind Colton, his best friend Hunter laughed. "Yo. She thinks she's tough." The whole cafeteria held its breath. Everyone knew what happened to kids who stood up to Colton Mitchell. Last month, a freshman named David tried. He ate lunch in the bathroom for 3 weeks after. But Madison Hayes wasn't like other students. And in exactly 47 seconds, everyone would find out why. Listen. 4 eyes. Colton stepped closer, his shadow swallowing her whole. "You're new here, so maybe you don't know how things work. I own this school. My dad owns half this town. And you?" He flicked her lunch tray off the counter. It clattered on the tiles. "You're nobody." Madison counted silently in her head. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "Control is not the absence of power, Madison. It's knowing exactly when to use it." 3 Mississippi. "Last chance," Colton said. "Get on your knees and clean it up." 4 Mississippi. "Make me." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Colton's crew exchanged glances. Hunter stopped laughing. A girl in the corner started recording on her phone. Colton grabbed Madison's wrist. "You little." That's when everything changed. Madison's body moved like water. She pivoted on her heel, using Colton's momentum against him. Her free hand gripped his elbow. Her hip checked his center of gravity. One smooth motion, exactly like she'd practiced 10,000 times before. Colton Mitchell, star quarterback, king of Jefferson High, flew through the air like a rag doll. He landed flat on his back in the mashed potatoes, gravy splashing across his $200 sneakers. The cafeteria exploded. Some kids gasped, others cheered. Phones appeared from every direction, cameras capturing what would become the most watched video in Jefferson High history. "What the hell?" Hunter rushed forward, fists clenched. Madison shifted her stance, feet shoulder-width apart, hands open and ready. "I wouldn't." But Hunter was already swinging. His right hook came fast and wild, all muscle and no technique. Madison ducked under it, caught his arm, and used a simple wrist lock that sent him spinning into the lunch table. Chocolate milk cartons scattered like bowling pins. Blake, the third member of Colton's crew, hesitated. "Smart move. Judo," Madison said quietly. "Straightening hair, glasses. 7 years. Black belt." "Any other questions?" Colton struggled to his feet, potatoes in his hair, rage in his eyes. "You're dead. You hear me? Dead." Principal Morrison's voice boomed across the cafeteria. "What is going on here?" The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Morrison stood in the doorway, his face a storm cloud. Behind him, 2 security guards waited. "She attacked us," Colton pointed at Madison, gravy dripping from his Letterman jacket. "This psycho just went crazy." "That's not what happened," a voice called out. Sierra Chen held up her phone. "I got the whole thing on video." Colton grabbed her first. More voices joined in. "Yeah. We saw it. She was just defending herself." Colton started it. For the first time in Jefferson High history, the students weren't siding with Colton Mitchell. Principal Morrison's eyes narrowed. "Madison. Colton. Hunter. My office. Now." As they walked out, Madison caught something in Colton's expression. Not just anger, fear. He'd been untouchable for 3 years. And in 47 seconds, a girl with glasses and a physics textbook had shattered his empire. But this was only the beginning. Madison sat in the uncomfortable plastic chair outside Principal Morrison's office, her hands steady, despite the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Through the frosted glass door, she could hear Colton's father yelling, "A little girl? Are you telling me a little girl did this to my son?" Mr. Mitchell had arrived in under 10 minutes, which had to be some kind of record. His Mercedes still ticked in the parking lot, cooling down from the race across town. He was everything you'd expect from a man who owned 3 car dealerships and a country club membership, expensive suit, gold watch, and an attitude that said the rules didn't apply to his family. Dad. She knows kung fu or something, Colton whined from inside. Judo. Madison corrected quietly, though they couldn't hear her. The door burst open. Mr. Mitchell filled the frame, his face red as a stoplight. He looked down at Madison like she was something he'd scrape off his shoe. You. He pointed a thick finger at her. You put your hands on my boy? Madison met his eyes without blinking. He put his hands on me first. I don't care if he set you on fire. Nobody touches a Mitchell. He turned to Principal Morrison. I want her expelled. Today, Mr. Mitchell. There are procedures. Procedures? Mitchell laughed. Ugly and sharp. I donated $50,000 to this school last year. I think that buys me some flexibility on your procedures. Madison's phone buzzed. A text from her mom. Heard what happened. On my way. Don't say anything else until I arrive. Great. The last thing she needed was her mother showing up in her scrubs. Fresh off a 12-hour shift at the hospital, Madison could handle this herself. She'd been handling things herself for 2 years now. Ever since. No. Don't think about that. Not now. She assaulted 3 students. Mr. Mitchell continued. That's grounds for immediate expulsion. Actually, Sierra Chen appeared in the hallway, still clutching her phone. She defended herself against 3 students who assaulted her, and I have proof. Behind her, a crowd had gathered. Not just random kids, but students who'd been victims of Colton's bullying for years. David, the freshman who ate in the bathroom. Autumn, whose books mysteriously ended up in toilets whenever she got better grades than Colton. Phoenix, who quit the drama club after Colton's crew made his life miserable for wearing makeup. They all stood silent, watching. Principal Morrison looked uncomfortably. Students, please return to class. Nobody moved. I said, we're witnesses. Autumn said quietly, don't we have a right to be here? More students arrived. The hallway filled. Someone had posted the video online, and it was spreading through the school like wildfire. Number. Judo girl was already trending locally. Mr. Mitchell's face darkened. Clear this hallway or I'll. You'll what? Everyone turned. A woman walked through the crowd, and Madison's heart sank. But her mother didn't look tired from her shift. She looked dangerous. Lauren Hayes still moved, like the Army Ranger she used to be, even in purple scrubs and running shoes. You'll what? Lauren repeated, stopping inches from Mr. Mitchell. They were the same height, but somehow she seemed taller. Your daughter attacked my son. Your son attacked my daughter first. Would you like to see the video? Because apparently, everyone else has. Mr. Mitchell's jaw worked like he was chewing glass. She broke his nose. Madison blinked. She hadn't noticed any blood. Then again, Colton had left the cafeteria pretty fast. Self-defense. Lauren said simply, legal in all 50 states. Would you like me to call our lawyer? He's very interested in the pattern of bullying at this school, especially the incidents that were reported but never addressed. The hallway went cemetery quiet. Madison stared at her mother. Pattern of bullying? Reported incidents? How did she know about? This isn't over. Mr. Mitchell growled. You're right. Lauren smiled. But it didn't reach her eyes. It's just beginning. Because if you come after my daughter for defending herself, I'll make sure every parent in this district knows exactly what your son has been doing, and what you've been paying to cover up. She knew, somehow. Her mother knew everything. Mr. Mitchell grabbed Colton's arm. We're leaving. Morrison. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. They pushed through the crowd. Colton glared at Madison as he passed, mouthing a single word. Tomorrow. Principal Morrison cleared his throat. Everyone back to class. Now. The crowd dispersed slowly, but not before several students gave Madison small nods of respect. David actually smiled. Madison. Mrs. Hayes. Please come in. The office smelled like coffee and disappointment. Morrison sat behind his desk. Finger steeple. Madison. While I understand you were defending yourself, we have a zero-tolerance policy on fighting. Zero tolerance on fighting back. Lauren corrected. But plenty of tolerance for bullying. Apparently. Morrison's eye twitched. That's not. October 15th. Lauren pulled out her phone. David Chen reported being shoved into lockers. No action taken. November 3rd. Autumn Williams reported hair property being destroyed. No action taken. November 21st. Phoenix Martinez reported harassment. No action taken. Should I continue? Madison stared at her mother. She'd been keeping a record? Those incidents were investigated. By asking Colton if he did it? Lauren's voice could have cut steel. That's not an investigation. That's a cover-up. Morrison loosened his tie. What do you want? I want my daughter to return to class without punishment. I want the 3 boys who attacked her to face real consequences. And I want this school to actually enforce its anti-bullying policy, Laurenstadt, or tomorrow morning. This video and these reports go to the school board, the news, and social media. Your choice. Madison had seen her mother negotiate with insurance companies. She'd seen her handle difficult patients. But this was different. This was the Sergeant Hayes who'd served 2 tours in Afghanistan. This was the woman who'd earned a Bronze Star. This was her protector. Morrison's shoulders sagged. Madison can return to class. The boys will serve a 3-day suspension, 3 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, plus mandatory counseling. Morrison nodded. Fine. They left the office together. In the empty hallway, Madison finally spoke. Mom, how did you know about all those reports? Lauren smiled. And this time, it was real. Phoenix Martinez volunteers at the hospital. Sweet kid. He told me what's been happening. She touched Madison's shoulder. Why didn't you tell me you were being targeted? I wasn't. Not until today. Because you kept your head down. Stayed invisible. Lauren's eyes were sad. Just like I taught you after what happened in Colorado. Madison's throat tightened. They never talked about Colorado. About why they'd moved across the country. About why Madison had started taking judo in the first place. But you can't stay invisible forever. Baby. Sometimes, you have to stand up. I did stand up. Yes. Lauren Huchter. You did. Your dad would be proud. Madison hugged back. Breathing in the familiar scent of hospital disinfectant and lavender shampoo, for the first time in 2 years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Safe. But safety never lasted long. That night, Madison's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The cafeteria video had exploded beyond Jefferson High. Someone had edited it with slow-motion replays and dramatic music. The comments ranged from supportive to terrifying. Judo girl is my hero. Colton had it coming. Know your place. Stuck-up witch. Better watch your back. She turned off notifications and tried to focus on homework. But her mind kept replaying the moment Colton grabbed her wrist. The muscle memory had kicked in before she could think. 7 years of training. Compressed into one instinctive movement. Her father's voice echoed again. Judo isn't about fighting, Madison. It's about using your opponent's strength against them. The gentle way. Right. Tell that to Colton's nose. A rock crashed through her bedroom window. Glass scattered across her physics textbook. Madison rolled off her bed. Staying low. Another rock followed. Then another. Outside. Engine is revved. Truck engines. She crawled to the window and peered out. 3 trucks idled in the street, high beams blaring. She couldn't see faces, but she recognized the vehicles. Colton's crew. Madison. Lauren burst through the door. Still in her scrubs. She must have just gotten home from her shift. Stay down. More rocks pelted the house. One caught the porch light, plunging the front yard into darkness. I'm calling 911, Lauren said. But the trucks were already peeling out. Tires screaming against asphalt. By the time the police arrived, there'd be nothing but broken glass and skid marks. Cowards. Madison muttered. They spent the next hour taping cardboard over the window. Lauren called the police anyway. Filed a report. The officer seemed sympathetic, but unsurprised. The Mitchell family, he said. Like that explained everything. We'll increase patrols. But without proof. After he left, Lauren made tea. They sat at the kitchen table, steam curling between them. This is going to get worse, Lauren said quietly. I know. We could move. Again. Madison's hands tightened on her mug. No. Madison. No. She met her mother's eyes. I'm tired of running. Tired of being invisible. They want to fight? Fine. But I'm not backing down. Lauren studied her daughter's face. Saw the determination there. The strength. But also the anger. Carefully controlled, but definitely present. Okay, she said finally. But we do this smart, legal. Document everything. Like you did? A small smile. I learned a few things in the army about covering your 6th place. They stayed up planning. Security cameras for the house. A recording app for Madison's phone. Self-defense refresher courses at the dojo. By the time they finished, It was past midnight. Madison lay in bed. Cardboard blocking the stars, she usually counted to fall asleep. Her phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. This isn't over. You humiliated the wrong people. Watch your back. Judo girl. She deleted the message but screenshotted it first. Documentation. Evidence. Ammunition. Because her mother was right. This was going to get worse. The next morning, Madison arrived at school to find her locker painted with obscenities. The janitor was already trying to clean it. Looking apologetic. I'm sorry. Honey. I tried to get here early. But it's okay. Mr. Rodriguez. Not your fault. Students whispered as she passed. Some supportive. Some hostile. The divide was clear. Those who'd been bullied versus those who did the bullying. In first period calculus, her chair had been tampered with. It collapsed when she sat down, sending her sprawling. The teacher, Mr. Patel, helped her up. Maintenance will hear about this, he said loudly, glaring at the snickering from the back row. But they both knew it wasn't maintenance's fault. Second period was worse. Someone had spread rumors overnight, variations on a theme. Madison thought she was better than everyone. Madison was violent. Madison had hurt poor innocent Colton for no reason. I heard she's been expelled from 3 schools for fighting. Someone whispered. My cousin says she's in a gang. She probably takes steroids. That's how she's so strong. Madison kept her head high. Shoulders back. Don't let them see you sweat. Another lesson from her father. Though he'd been talking about competitive tournaments, not high school warfare. By lunch, the harassment had escalated. Her gym clothes were stolen during P.E. Forcing her to wear her regular clothes for volleyball. Someone put gum in her hair during English, requiring an emergency bathroom haircut that left her bob uneven. But the worst part was the isolation. The students who'd stood up for her yesterday kept their distance today. Fear was contagious. And Colton's crew made sure everyone knew there'd be consequences for supporting Judo Girl. She ate lunch alone, back to the wall, eyes scanning for threats. Just like Colorado all over again, except this time, she'd chosen the fight. No, they'd chosen it. She just refused to be their victim. Rough day? Madison looked up. A girl stood there, lunch tray in hand. Tall. Athletic build. Natural confidence. She looked familiar, but Madison couldn't place her. I'm Quinn, the girl said, sitting without invitation. Quinn Delgado. You're on track. Heard about yesterday. She grinned. That hip throw was textbook. Ippon for sure. Madison blinked. You know judo? Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Actually, but I cross-train. Quinn took a bite of pizza. Also, I hate bullies. And Colton Mitchell specifically. Why specifically? Quinn's expression darkened. He ended my boyfriend's basketball career last year. Accident during practice. Tore Blake's ACL so bad he'll never play again. All because Blake wouldn't help him cheat on a test. They ate in companionable silence for a moment. Then Quinn said, You know they're planning something bigger, right? I figured, I mean big. Hunter's older brother just got back from college. Wrestled Division I. And he's pissed about the video making his little brother look weak. Madison's stomach tightened. A trained wrestler was different from high school bullies. Actuelle technique? Actuel danger. When? Don't know. But soon, they're not gonna let this slide. Quinn leaned closer. You need backup. Lucky for you. I've got friends who are tired of the Mitchell Mafia running this place. I don't want anyone else getting hurt because of me. Too late. We're already targets just for existing while not rich and white. Quinn's smile was sharp. Might as well make it count. Before Madison could respond, the fire alarm shrieked. Students groaned, assuming it was a drill. But through the windows, Madison saw smoke. Real smoke. Billowing from the parking lot. They evacuated in barely controlled chaos. In the parking lot, the source was obvious. A car was on fire. Madison's car, the ancient Honda Civic she'd bought with 2 summers of lifeguarding money. She stood frozen, watching her only transportation burn. Students took pictures, posted videos. The fire department arrived, but it was too late. Just a charred skeleton remained. Electrical fire. Someone said loudly. Too loudly. These old cars, you know? Madison turned. Hunter stood there, smirking. No proof. Never any proof. Shame about your ride. He said, Hope you've got good insurance. She stepped toward him, fists clenched. Quinn caught her arm. Not here. Quinn whispered. Not with everyone watching. Hunter's smirk widened. Smart friend. You should listen to her. Judo girl. Accidents happen. You know? He walked away. High-fiving Blake. Principal Morrison appeared, looking harassed. Madison. I'm sorry about your vehicle. We'll review security footage. The cameras don't cover that part of the lot. Madison said flatly. Do they? Morrison's silence was answer enough. Lauren arrived within minutes, face tight with controlled fury. She surveyed the damage. Then her daughter. Are you hurt? No? Then we deal with the rest. She turned to Morrison. I want a police report filed. Now. Mrs. Hayes. Without evidence. Now. Morrison retreated. Lauren pulled Madison aside. This ends, she said quietly, one way or another. This ends. Mom, they burned your car? Madison. In broad daylight. At school. Lauren's voice was steel. What's next? Our house? Madison didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because they both knew the answer. Yes. The house was next, or worse. That evening, Madison sat in her room, staring at her physics homework without seeing it. Her window was fixed, but she'd moved her desk away from it, just in case. Her phone rang, unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then decided documentation was better than ignorance. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then, you should have cleaned up the mess. Judo girl. Colton's voice. She hit record on her laptop. Catching the rest. Your car was just the beginning. We know where you live. We know your mom works nights. You can't watch your back forever. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Transfer schools. Leave town. Or, find out what happens when you mess with the wrong family. The line went dead. Madison saved the recording. Backed it up to 3 different clouds. Evidence. But evidence of what? A vague threat that any lawyer could explain away? She changed into her gid. The white uniform worn and soft from years of use. In the garage, she'd set up a small training space. Heavy bag. Mats. A mirror. Not much. But enough. She started with kata. The formal exercises that looked like dancing but taught muscle memory for combat. Each movement precise, controlled. Her father had made her practice these until she cried from boredom. Why can't we just spar? She'd complained at age 10. Because sparring teaches you to fight, he'd said. Kata teaches you when not to. She moved through the sequences, sweat building, but her mind wouldn't quiet. The burned car, the rocks through windows, the promise of worse to come. Her movements grew sharper, angrier. She abandoned the kata and attacked the heavy bag. Punches, kicks, knee strikes, things that weren't part of traditional judo, things her father hadn't taught her, things she'd learned after Colorado, after the funeral, after deciding she'd never be helpless again. The bag split, sand spilling onto the mat. She stood panting, knuckles raw, anger finally spent. Feel better? Madison spun. Quinn Delgado leaned in the garage doorway, still in her track uniform. How did you... Your mom let me in. Said you might need a friend. Quinn surveyed the destroyed bag, or a better target. I'm fine. Sure. That's why you're beating up innocent equipment. Quinn stepped onto the mat. Want to spar? I don't think. Quinn threw a light jab, pulled at the last second. Come on. Judo girl. Show me what you got. They circled each other. Quinn moved like a fighter. Balanced and ready. Madison found herself relaxing into the familiar dance. Quinn attacked first. A combination of strikes that Madison deflected and countered. They flowed back and forth, testing each other. Quinn's jiu-jitsu ground game against Madison's judo throws, neither fully committed, both learning. You're holding back, Quinn said, breathing hard. So are you? They grinned at each other, then went again. Faster this time, more intense. Madison caught Quinn's arm, set up a throw. But Quinn wrapped her legs around Madison's waist, threatening a submission. They hit the mat together, scrambling for position. Girls? They froze. Lauren stood in the doorway, holding glasses of water. Just training. Mrs. Hayes, Quinn said, untangling herself. I can see that. Lauren handed them the water. Quinn, your mother called. Dinner's ready. Right. Quinn grabbed her bag, then turned to Madison. Think about what I said. About backup. You don't have to do this alone. After she left, Madison and her mother stood in comfortable silence. She seems nice, Lauren said finally. She's a good fighter. That's not what I meant. Madison looked at her mother. I know what you meant. And I can't drag anyone else into this. Honey, you didn't start this war. No? But I'm going to finish it. Loan Saihu, your father used to say the same thing, right before deploying. They both knew how that had ended. Roadside bomb. Closed casket. Folded flag. This is different, Madison said. Is it? Lauren touched her daughter's face. Just, be careful. I can't lose you too. That night, Madison dreamed of fire. Her car burning, her house burning, everything she touched turning to ash. She woke to the sound of breaking glass. Not her window this time. Downstairs. The living room. She grabbed her phone, dialing 911 as she crept to her door. Lauren's room was at the end of the hall. Still dark. She was at work. Madison was alone. 911. What's your emergency? She whispered her address. The situation? Stayed on the line as instructed. Things that weren't part of traditional judo. Things her father hadn't taught her. Things she'd learned after Colorado. After the funeral. After deciding she'd never be helpless again. The bag split. Sand spilling onto the mat. She stood panting. Knuckles raw. Anger finally spent. Feel better? Madison spun. Quinn Delgado leaned in the garage doorway, still in her track uniform. How did you? Your mom let me in. Said you might need a friend. Quinn surveyed the destroyed bag, every technique, every dirty trick, every ounce of rage she'd been holding back. The bat got wrestled away. But she had fists and feet and fury. It wasn't enough. One grabbed her arms while another went for her legs. She thrashed, screamed, bit someone through their mask, tasted blood. Hold her still, a muffled voice, familiar despite the mask. They pinned her to the floor. One produced siptease. This is what happens. The voice said, definitely Colton. This is what you get for. The bedroom door frame exploded. Not opened. Exploded. Wood splinters flew as someone kicked it completely off its hinges. A man stood there, massive and terrifying. 6'6" at least, shoulders that barely fit through the ruined doorway. But it wasn't his size that made the masked figures freeze. It was the look in his eyes. Death. Promised death. Let her go. Madison had never heard that voice before. Low. Dangerous. With an accent she couldn't place. The attackers scrambled backward. Who? The man moved. Fast for his size. Brutal in efficiency. One punch, and the first attacker was unconscious. The second tried to run but got clotheslined into the wall. The third, Colton, she was sure, managed to dodge the first grab. Wait, you don't understand. My father. The man caught him by the throat, lifted him one-handed. Your father means nothing to me. Sirens wailed outside. The man dropped Colton, who gasped and scrabbled for air. You have 10 seconds to run, the man said, or I break everything that bends. They ran, dragged their unconscious friend, stumbled down the stairs. He crashed through the house. Car doors slammed, tires squealed. The man turned to Madison, his whole demeanor changing. The death look disappeared, replaced by concern. Are you injured? She sat up slowly, checking. Bruises forming. Maybe a cracked rib, but nothing serious. I'm okay. Who are you? Police burst in before he could answer. Weapons drawn. Hands up, nobody move. The man raised his hands slowly. The girl was attacked. 3 intruders. They fled in a white pickup truck. License plate starts with J7. On your knees. He complied. Movements careful and non-threatening. Madison struggled to her feet. Wait, he saved me. He's not, miss. Step back. Everything was chaos. More police arrived. Paramedics. Questions she couldn't answer. The large man said nothing. Just waited patiently as they cuffed him. Lauren arrived as they were leading him out. She took one look at him and went very still. Dimitri? The man smiled slightly. Hello. Lauren. Sorry about the door. You know him? Madison stared at her mother. He's Lauren stopped. Chose different words. An old friend. From the army. She turned to the police. He's not a threat. He was protecting my daughter. It took another hour to sort out. Statements. Evidence. Arguments about jurisdiction. The security cameras Lauren had installed caught everything, including clear shots of the attacker's vehicle. Finally, Dimitri was uncuffed. He rubbed his wrists, looking apologetic. I should have knocked, he said. You should have called. Lauren countered. What are you doing here? You did call. 2 years ago, said if you ever needed anything. He shrugged. I saw the video online. Recognized Madison. Figured you might need help. Madison looked between them. Mom? Loan Saihu. Dmitri served with your father. Saved his life twice before. She trailed off. Before I failed to save it the third time, Dmitri finished quietly. The house felt too small suddenly. Too full of history Madison didn't understand. They'll be back, she said. Changing the subject. Colton won't let this go. No. Dmitri agreed, but next time will be different. How? He smiled. And it wasn't pleasant, because next time, I'll be waiting. Madison shivered. She thought she was tough, thought her black belt made her dangerous. But looking at Dmitri, she realized she'd been playing at violence while others lived it. Teach me, she said suddenly. Madison Lauren started. No. Mom, judo isn't enough. Not anymore. She faced Dmitri. Teach me what you know. He studied her for a long moment. Your father wouldn't approve. My father's dead. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Dmitri nodded. Very well. But you won't like it. What I teach isn't sport. It isn't self-defense. It's survival. Good. Madison said. Because that's what this is now. She was done being prey. Done being reactive. The hunters had become the hunted, and Madison Hayes was about to learn what that really meant. But first, she had to survive tomorrow. And Colton Mitchell's family had barely begun to show what money and cruelty could accomplish. The war for Jefferson High was just beginning. 4:30 a.m. Madison's alarm didn't get a chance to ring. She was already awake. Wrapping her hands in the garage, Dmitri stood across from her, holding focus mitts. Again, he said, her fists connected with the pads. Jab. Cross. Hook. Uppercut. Sweat dripped despite the pre-dawn chill. Your father taught you to be water? Dmitri said, moving the mitts to make her adjust. I'm teaching you to be fire. Sometimes, you need both. 2 weeks had passed since the home invasion. 2 weeks of this routine. Wake up. Train. School. Train. Sleep. Repeat. Her body ached constantly, but her mind was sharper than ever. They're planning something, Madison said between combinations. Colton's been too quiet. Let them plan. Dmitri shifted the mitts higher. Knee strikes now. She drove her knee up, imagining Colton's face. The school had given him a 2-week suspension. But it ended today. He'd be back. And Madison doubted he'd learned anything except to be sneakier. Your mother's worried? Dmitri said. She always worries. No. This is different. He lowered the mitts. The Mitchell family hired investigators. They're digging into your past. Colorado. Madison's blood chilled. They can't. They can. Money opens many doors. Dmitri set down the mitts. Perhaps it's time you told me what happened there. She turned away, unwrapping her hands. It doesn't matter. Everything matters in war. This isn't war. It's high school. Dmitri laughed. Short and harsh. Tell that to the 3 men who broke into your home. He had a point. Madison sat on the weight bench, choosing her words carefully. There was a teacher, she said finally. Mr. Garrett. Young. Popular. Everybody loved him, especially the girls. Dmitri waited, patient as stone. He paid special attention to my friend Emma. Tutoring after school. Extra credit projects. Madison's hands clenched. I didn't see the signs at first. None of us did. But then Emma changed. Stopped smiling. Started wearing long sleeves even in summer. The words came faster now. One day, I followed them. Saw him, touching her. In ways teachers shouldn't touch students. What did you do? I told my parents. They told the school. The school said they'd investigate. Madison laughed bitterly. You know what their investigation was? Asking him if he did it. He said no. Of course. Case closed. But you didn't accept that. Emma was falling apart. Self-harming. Talking about ending it all. Madison stood. Pacing. So I did something stupid. I confronted him. Alone. Told him to leave her alone or I'd go to the police. And he laughed. Said no one would believe a teenage girl over a respected teacher. Said he had tenure. Connections. Her voice hardened. Said he'd make my life hell if I didn't mind my own business. Dmitri nodded slowly. So you made his life hell instead. I broke his nose. Right there in his classroom. Threw him through his own desk. Madison touched her knuckles. Remembering. Security cameras caught it all. Me attacking poor innocent Mr. Garrett, who was just trying to help troubled students. The truth came out. Eventually, other girls came forward after I was expelled. He got fired. Arrested. But by then, we'd already moved here. Fresh start. She met Dimitri's eyes. If the Mitchells find out I have a record for assault, they already know. Madison's phone buzzed before she could respond. Unknown number. But she recognized the area code. Colorado. Hello? Madison? This is Principal Edwards from Mountain View High. Her stomach dropped. Yes? I wanted to warn you. Someone's been requesting your records. Disciplinary files specifically. I can't legally refuse if they have proper authorization. Which they do. I understand. Madison. Edwards paused. What you did for Emma and the others. That took courage. Don't let anyone use it against you. The call ended. Madison stared at her phone. Mind racing. They're going to paint me as violent. She said. A pattern of assault. First Colorado. Now here. Let them try. Dimitri smiled. Cold as winter. Your mother's not the only one with connections. At school. The atmosphere was electric. Everyone knew Colton was returning today. Some students wore Team Judo girl shirts that had appeared online. Others kept their distance. Choosing safety over solidarity, Madison walked through the front doors to find her locker decorated again. But not with insults this time. Photos were taped everywhere. Her 7th grade school picture. Newspaper clippings. Local girl expelled for assault. Teacher arrested after student altercation. Students gathered. Reading. Whispering. Madison felt exposed. Like her skin had been peeled away. So the hero's actually a psycho. Colton's voice cut through the crowd. He stood there, nose still slightly crooked, surrounded by his crew. Attacking teachers? That's sick. Even for you. Madison pulled down the photos methodically. He was a predator. That's what they all say. Isn't it? When they get caught being violent? Colton stepped closer. My dad's lawyer says you're a menace. Unstable. Dangerous. Your dad's lawyer can. Madison. Quinn appeared at her elbow. Behind her stood others. Sierra with her ever-present phone. David. Not hiding anymore. Phoenix. Makeup bold as ever. Even some athletes. Kids who usually stayed neutral. You were protecting your friend. Sierra said loudly. Everyone who actually reads the articles can see that, just like you were protecting yourself in the cafeteria. David added. More students joined them. A living wall between Madison and Colton's crew. Colton's face twisted. You're all going to regret this. No. A new voice said. You are. Everyone turned. A woman strode through the entrance, heels clicking like gunshots. Power suit. Briefcase. Energy. That made the hallway feel smaller. Veronica Chen. She announced. Sierra's mother. Also. Former district attorney. Current civil rights lawyer. She looked directly at Colton, and very interested in the pattern of harassment at this school. Principal Morrison appeared, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. Miss Chen. This is unexpected, is it? When my daughter tells me about systematic bullying, witnessed assaults, and administrative negligence? She pulled out a folder thick with papers. I've been collecting statements. Would you like to know how many students have stories about the Mitchell family's reign of terror? The hallway was dead silent. 47. Miss Chen continued. 47 students willing to testify about harassment, assault, property damage, and cover-ups. That's a class-action lawsuit waiting to happen. Morrison went pale. Perhaps we should discuss this in my office. No. Miss Chen's voice could have cut glass. We discuss it here. In front of witnesses, because closed-door meetings are how this problem festered. She turned to Colton. Your father thinks money makes him untouchable. He's wrong. I've taken down bigger bullies than him. You can't threaten me. Colton said, but his voice wavered. I'm not threatening. I'm promising one more incident. One more harassment. One more anything. And I file, not just against you, but against your father's businesses. Did you know hostile environment lawsuits can pierce corporate veils? Especially when the owner's child is the perpetrator? Colton's phone rang. He answered, face going white as he listened. Yes. Dad. She's here. Yes. The lawyer. He handed the phone to Miss Chen. He wants to talk to you. She took it, listened for a moment, then smiled like a shark. Mr. Mitchell, you have 2 options. Control your son, or lose everything you've built. Your choice. She handed back the phone and walked away. Heels still clicking like a countdown to doom. The crowd dispersed slowly. Colton stood frozen, phone pressed to his ear, getting what sounded like the verbal lashing of his life. Madison felt a mix of relief and unease. This felt too easy. Bullies like Colton didn't just give up because of lawyers and threats. She was right. That afternoon, during gym class, it happened. Madison was running laps when she noticed two men in maintenance uniforms working on the bleachers. Something felt off about how they moved. Too coordinated, too aware. She slowed, watching them. One caught her looking and smiled. Not a friendly smile. "Hayes," Coach Bryant called, "pick up the pace." She kept running but pulled out her phone. Texting Dimitri. Two suspicious men in gym. Maintenance uniforms. His response was immediate. Get to a crowded area. Now. But it was too late. The fire alarm shrieked. Students groaned. Starting to evacuate. Standard procedure. Except Madison noticed the two maintenance men moving against the flow, toward her. She broke from the line. Sprinting for the equipment room. Locked. The men were closer now. Definitely not maintenance. One had prison tattoos creeping up his neck. "Madison Hayes?" Neck tattoo called. "Someone wants to talk to you." She ran. Through the gym doors. Down the hall. Behind her, heavy footsteps. They weren't trying to be subtle anymore. She burst into the chemistry lab. Slammed the door. Looked for another exit. None. Windows were 3 stories up. The door exploded open. Both men entered, spreading out to flank her. "Don't make this difficult," the second one said. He had scars across his knuckles. Fighter's hands. "Mr. Mitchell really wants this conversation." Neck tattoo added. "Something about teaching lessons." Madison grabbed a beaker. Threw it. Neck tattoo dodged. Laughing. "Feisty. I like that." They moved in together. Professional. These weren't high school bullies. These were hired muscle. Madison fought. Used every trick Dimitri had taught her. Chemicals became weapons. Chairs became shields. She was faster. But they were stronger and worked as a team. Scarred knuckles caught her arm. She broke free, but ran straight into Neck Tattoo's grab. They had her. Should have taken the hint. Neck Tattoo said. "Moved schools. Kept quiet." Now, the window exploded. Not broke. Exploded. Glass showered inward as a figure swung through on a rope. Dimitri hit the ground rolling. Already moving. He struck Neck Tattoo's knee. Dropping him. Spun. Caught Scarred Knuckles' punch. Returned it with interest. The sound of breaking bone echoed. "Run," he told Madison. She didn't run. Instead, she grabbed a fire extinguisher and brought it down on Neck Tattoo's head. As he tried to stand, he dropped. Stayed down. Scarred Knuckles pulled a knife. Dimitri smiled. Finally, a challenge. The fight was brutal. Fast. Nothing like movies. Dimitri took cuts to take the knife, then ended it with an elbow that sent Scarred Knuckles through a lab table. Sirens wailed outside. "Again. We need to go," Dimitri said, bleeding from 3 cuts. "No." Madison pulled out her phone. "Already recording. We need witnesses." Students and teachers flooded in, drawn by the noise. They found Madison standing over 2 unconscious men, Dimitri beside her, the destroyed lab telling its own story. This time, the police response was different. Detectives, not just uniforms. The 2 men were arrested, identified as recently released convicts with ties to private security firms, hired muscle. Detective Washington said, "Someone paid them to grab you. Wanna guess who?" But proving it was another matter. The men weren't talking. The payment trail was hidden. Mr. Mitchell had alibis and lawyers. That evening, Madison sat in her kitchen. Ice pack on her bruised ribs. Her mother paced, phone pressed to her ear. "I don't care what it costs." Lauren said, "I want them protected." "Yes." Both of them, full surveillance. Armed response if necessary. She hung up. Turned to Madison. "I'm hiring a security team." "Mom." "No arguments. They tried to kidnap you." Madison. "In broad daylight, at school." Lauren's voice shook. "This ends now." "How?" "I don't know yet. But I promise you, this ends." A knock at the door made them both freeze. Dimitri answered it, hand near his concealed weapon. Quinn Delgado stood there, but not alone. Behind her were dozens of students, Sierra, David, Phoenix, and others Madison didn't even recognize. "We're done being afraid." Quinn said simply, "Can we come in?" They filled the living room, dining room, spilled into the kitchen. Each had a story. Each had evidence, photos, videos, recordings. Years of abuse. Carefully documented. "My brother kept a journal," one girl said, before he took his own life. It's all about what Colton did to him. I have medical records. Another added, from when they broke my arm, accidentally. Security footage from my dad's store. A boy offered. Shows them destroying property. Threatening customers. Story after story. Evidence after evidence. The Mitchell reign of terror laid bare. This is enough. Sierra's mother, Miss Shen, appeared in the doorway. This is more than enough. She surveyed the crowd. The evidence. Who's ready to fight back? Legally, publicly, and permanently, every hand rose. Madison felt something shift in the room. Fear transforming into determination. Victims becoming warriors. They want war? Miss Chen smiled. Let's give them one. The next morning, Jefferson High looked like a media circus. News vans. Reporters. Cameras everywhere. The story had broken overnight. Reign of terror. How one family controlled a school through fear. Mr. Mitchell arrived in his Mercedes, face purple with rage. He pushed through reporters, ignoring their questions. No comment. He snarled. Talk to my lawyers. But his lawyers were busy. Miss Chen had filed 17 separate lawsuits before dawn. Criminal charges were pending. The school board had called an emergency meeting. Madison walked through it all. Head high. Colton was nowhere to be seen. Pulled from school. Someone said, sent to military academy. Said another. In Principal Morrison's office, a different conversation was happening. Effective immediately. The superintendent said, you're on administrative leave pending investigation. Morrison nodded, looking relieved more than anything. I understand. Madison. The superintendent turned to her. On behalf of the district, I apologize. This should never have happened. Never have continued. Apologies don't fix anything. Madison said, no. But actions might. She handed Madison a folder, full scholarship to any school in the district. Transfer papers. If you want them. Letter of recommendation for college apps. Whatever you need. Madison looked at the folder, then handed it back. I'm staying at Jefferson. After everything? Because of everything. Running doesn't solve problems. It just moves them. The superintendent smiled. Your father would be proud. You knew my father? I knew of him. Medal of Honor recipients tend to be remembered. She stood. Welcome back to Jefferson High. Madison. The real Jefferson High. Not the corrupted version. Madison left the office to find the hallways transformed. The fear was gone. Students talked openly. Laughed freely. Some nodded at her. Others actually smiled. It wasn't victory. Not completely. The Mitchells still had money. Lawyers. Influence. This was just one battle in a longer war. But it was a start. That afternoon, Madison stood in her garage, looking at the new heavy bag.